Welcome to another week of Brew Skies Booze News, where we give you an arbitrary rundown of the stories that were either the most important or just most fascinating to us that happened in the alcoholic beverage industry world. I am Mike Morgan, and you are not.
Yep. As always, if you want to support the Brew Skies Network, check out our website, but more importantly, like, subscribe, comment on our YouTube channel, listen to our other history of craft beer, the Brew Skies Happy Hour, and we're proud to announce Patreon. So hit us up, buy us a beer, just one beer a month. That's all we need to keep going. On that note,
We even drink pretty cheap most of the time.
we did, this is Narragansett. That's cheap as heck. That's
Right.
quality stuff. What's their saying? Hey neighbor or something?
Whatever.
Hey,
I kind of hate the cans, actually.
hey neighbor, whatever.
Hey neighbor, whatever.
Speaking of neighbors,
Gansett.
Billy Busch.
Yeah.
He's in the news. Do you know why?
I do not know why.
Well,
Do I care?
we're going to find out.
Yeah?
He is the heir to the Budweiser fortune. So he is out there saying he wants to be the first in line to buy Budweiser and Bud Light back from the Brazilians, and he's going to, quote, make Budweiser great again.
Oh, thank God. Thank God somebody had to come back and make Budweiser great again. Didn't, who is he? Is he the son of August Busch the Fourth, the one that killed women and shot up a fucking mansion and whatever?
I don't know if he is the son of the Busch that's famous for living in a trap house. I do not know.
Yeah.
But I do know that he said a lot of rhetoric that sounded like a lot of dog whistling alt-right conservative stuff, and how he would bring it back to glory.
Great.
And basically, just Trump light.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you trust him to bring it back?
To make Budweiser great for white people again? Absolutely. She broke the bar.
He went on to say about how the whole reason Budweiser was even successful in the first place is because they used to care about the customer. And that his dad, even when his dad was, and here's another quote, 60, 70, 80, even 90, he would still go out to bars to meet with beer buyers and consumers of Budweiser. And that's why it got great in the first place.
There is actually something to that, all joking aside. The history of Budweiser is a really storied history. And
Something
even
more
where this guy's...
more on the Happy Hour podcast eventually.
Yeah, we've actually read quite a bit about Budweiser because we're going to get into it in the podcast at some point. But, from the beginning, the first August Busch was a really brilliant guy, and the company did impressive things. And until they became AB InBev, they did really stick to their guns in terms of formula. They didn't cheapen their beer. I mean, it's watery, rice, yellow beer, but it was consistent.
It was actually high quality rice. They wouldn't buy any of the broken pieces or anything until, of course, they got bought out.
Yeah, until they became AB InBev. When they were Anheuser-Busch, there is validity to that they really did care about that product. It was excellent for what it was. This very light, watery American version of a Pilsner. They perfected it, and they did it consistently, and they did it with integrity to the product. Now the final, August Busch the Four, murdered women and did a lot of drugs and had a gun fetish and whatever.
He was the original Hunter Biden.
Right. Yeah. That hashtag, the wrong one died.
Cool. Jeez. It is a shame. I think that's often lost with Budweiser and that whole brand is that it really is a great American story, and it was a great American brand.
Yeah.
It's only the last 30 to 40 years that it really just went down the shitter.
Yeah.
Up until then, they were pushing technological advancements, not only in the brewing world, but logistically with the refrigerated rail cars and everything else. They were on the cutting edge of what beer was. I mean, it's really a great story until it wasn't.
Until it wasn't. Yeah. And even when the wheels come off, it's a fascinating story.
Yeah.
It's just not not a happy story
We
anymore.
all love to watch train wrecks, you know?
We do love
Get
a
that-
good train wreck.
Get that rubbernecking going.
Yeah. The August Busch car wrecks, not so fun, but the August Busch train wrecks are great.
And if you're wondering why Billy Busch would even come out of what seems like the middle of nowhere to say, I'm going to buy this back, it's because Anheuser-Busch right now is shedding craft brands left and right. We talked about this last week. They got rid of Shock Top, which they created, but they also got rid of 7 other brands that they bought and then tried to ruin, effectively did, and then sold them to Tilray.
What else did they sell back?
Breckenridge Brewing Company got sold.
Is that independent again, or did?
No, these brands from Budweiser got sold to Tilray, so they're
Okay.
I think
They all got
technically
sold
they're
to Tilray.
craft now, whatever the fuck that means.
Right.
But there was Constellation actually sold a couple brands back to the original owners as well, and that happened recently.
Yeah.
But that's why Billy Busch is out there saying, "Hey, if you're giving away brands for cheap, I'll buy it." He's probably full of shit, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, the family made a massive amount of money in that sale. Even though it was a hostile takeover, they still made mega bucks.
Yeah.
How much of it does Billy Busch have? And, I have no idea. But, whatever.
They're not going to let it go.
Bud Light's going to suck regardless.
Well, yeah. Well, the craft beer mid-year survey results are finally out. If you're
Thank
wondering how craft beer is doing, the answer is
Shitty?
yeah.
Great.
We're down about 2% for craft beer. The bigger issue is that draft beer has just never recovered from the pandemic still. So craft beer draft sales, so we're talking to like bars, restaurants, keg sales, they've been declining since 2015. Kind of slow and steady, but going down. Now, if you would have kept the trend from like 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 17, 18, this trend up till the pandemic of it going down, and then the pandemic shot it way down and things started coming back up, we're still 30% off of where we should have been tracking before the pandemic coming down versus where we are now.
Is this exactly 30%?
Yes. That is 2 million barrels of beer, which is more than Sierra Nevada makes. It's more than New Belgium makes. It's a shitload of beer. 30% of that 2 million is craft beer. So I know there's a lot of numbers. The point is that draft and on-site recovery of people going out and buying beer, especially craft beer, has just not come back from the pandemic.
And that has been happening at the same time that adding a bunch of tap handles has become more popular. So what gives? Why do you think draft sales are declining?
Well, there's a couple reasons for that. I think the obvious one is that restaurant prices continue to go up.
Yeah.
Consumer sentiment around going to restaurants is actually at like all-time lows right now. People are
Cost
pissed.
a gazillion dollars.
And tipping culture is out of control, and people are
Yes.
starting to lose their fucking minds about tipping. People are over it. Minimum 20% anymore. I've seen 35, 40% options on places before.
20% I've been doing for a long time, but I don't
That's my
understand.
max.
I don't understand how like restaurant bar prices went up 40%, and then somehow simultaneously I'm also supposed to now tip 25% of that increased amount. I mean, you're already making more money as a server by virtue of the percentage of how much the other prices went up. I don't understand how in the hell we make this jump to 25%, and I'm against it. It also pisses me off when they ask me to tip at Jersey Mike's and stuff like that. That's carry out.
Tipping on carryout's insane. You can't
Yeah.
even get away with it anymore. I feel guilty not even tipping on carryout, where I feel like
I know.
I should not have to tip on carryout. This is asinine. I do 10% max on carryout now, but that still feels, I hate it. I feel greasy. I feel greasy both ways.
There's a lot of things that I have just stopped doing because I feel like a dick if I don't tip somebody for something that I absolutely refuse to tip for, but it still makes me feel like a dick. So I just don't do it instead.
I had to get a tow truck the other day, and I paid for it when they picked up the work truck with the credit card, the company card. And when I went to sign the bill, there was a fucking tip option on a tow truck.
God.
I'm going to tip you for that? No. I did not tip. But just the fact that it's just everywhere right now is just disgusting. And what is this? Is this socialism? Do we live in a socialist world right now that I have to subsidize your fucking shitty ass for being a bad capitalist that you can't afford to pay your employees? What the hell is this?
It's actually kind of the opposite. I heard a podcast, it was like a through-line podcast about tipping a while back, and it was fascinating as hell. Like, tipping in early America was considered totally un-American, because tipping had came out of like European aristocracy. So, the serfs, the peasantry, you tossed them a little extra, the rich did. And so in America, we're Americans, and we don't have aristocracy that, gives a few little whatever to the peasantry. We don't do that in America until the end of the Civil War. And then a lot of people, particularly in the South, wanted a way to continue to not pay for black labor. Thus, tipping in America was born. And it's actually why, you go to other countries, you go to European countries, and they tip, but it's not like here. It's not, this expectation that you as the it's not compulsory, and you as the consumer are not expected to subsidize or constitute, 95% of what that person gets paid. And it all goes back to that. It actually traces back to Reconstruction. And how do we screw over workers and actually, not pay staff?
So tipping is not only racist, but it's classist. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it applies across races these days, but it is
started as a racist thing.
Yes.
Ultimately, it's a classist thing. Cool. Well, let's just keep that up then, I guess.
And it's still a way to continue like wage slavery.
Yes.
The fact that it goes into this era, I think it was the 1960s, where the restaurant industry, was successfully lobbied to like lock in pay rates for workers, to opt them out of minimum wage laws, and to also simultaneously lock in pay rates, which is why you can still pay a server like $2 an hour.
Like $2.35 or something.
Yeah. Absolute bullshit.
Well, this is not a capitalistic podcast. This is a beer news podcast, but it's all related. I hope you guys can see that. We talk about this stuff because it's important, because your servers' lives matter, obviously, and them being healthy and happy and being able to serve you a pint that's affordable means that we're all going to be better off for it. Yeah. So hopefully you guys understand the importance of why we detour in these things, is because it does matter. It directly impacts our experience with beer, our experience with bellying up at a bar, a dive bar, whatever.
It impacts the industry. It impacts how our economy is functioning, and it is having impacts on that macro level of even how craft beer is doing.
Yeah, it does. If people don't feel comfortable going out, which like we don't half the time because of these reasons, then draft sales go down, and craft beer is majority draft. Craft beer does better on draft than they do at the grocery store for a lot of reasons we don't need to get into right now, but that's just how it is.
And so, by the way, tip your bartenders and servers. That is definitely not the point. Just fuck your tow truck driver. Don't tip them. You can do... Never mind.
Irish spirits, they're up 17%.
Yeah.
Can you name one Irish spirit that's not Jamison?
Well, I don't know if you count it because it's North Ireland, but Bushmills.
Okay, I was going to say Tullamore Dew. So we got 3.
Yeah.
Cheers to that. They're doing well, probably because Irish spirits are relatively cheap, and it's still whiskey and bourbon's hot right now. That's my guess. I don't know. I don't have any more information than that.
Well, they're all kind of, they're a little bit sweet. They're a sort of bourbonish.
They're not as intense as bourbon. They're a lot more mild. I like it.
Not as sweet as like Canadian whiskey, but along those lines. It's not bad whiskey.
Yeah.
I like it for breakfast.
So there's this company called the Ocean Fathoms. They're based in California.
Sure.
And what they've been doing since 2017 is taking crates of wine and sinking them to the bottom of the ocean to age for a year or more.
Okay.
And then their plan was to start bringing them all up and then selling ocean-aged wines.
Because why?
Well, because rich people and their money.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
But what happened is the FDA stepped in and basically says, get fucked, you idiots. You're going to destroy all this stuff for a lot of reasons, largely because you didn't get any permits, you didn't pass any of this, and you don't even have a goddamn liquor license to even be able to do something like this. So they destroyed...
Sounds like a great business plan.
They destroyed, it gets better. They destroyed 2,000 bottles of wine at $500 a piece, so $1 million of inventory gone.
Oh my God.
Then they got charged for crimes, which include polluting waterways, selling alcohol without a license, and the kicker is aiding and abetting investor fraud. Because they weren't telling their investors what they were actually doing. So would you buy ocean wine? I guess is the question.
No.
Would you buy any wine for $500?
No, I wouldn't, actually. There is a point where you max out the value price on wine. And a $500 bottle of wine, the difference between that and a really good $50 bottle of wine is really just your ability to prove that you can...
Sniff your own butthole?
Yeah, you can obscenely overpay for a bottle of wine. I have seen, when I was in Nova Scotia, there was I think it was a local distillery, it might have been a brewery, that had a boat in the bay, looked like the parade float from Animal House, just like this black boat. And you know, what they were doing there was barrel aging something. And the concept is that the motion of the water is accelerating, and it's accelerating the barrel aging, which I understand.
Jefferson Ocean did this down in Kentucky too.
Yeah, I don't.
Like
those
around the world, fucking whatever.
Those guys definitely didn't invent it. Other people are doing it. I understand that, but what would, in theory, sinking wine to the bottom of the ocean, what does it do for it? And is a cork, part of the point of a cork is it seals, but it's a little bit porous. I mean, are you not going to get like salt in the wine?
My understanding is if a cork stays wet, it's pretty much near non-porous.
Okay.
But I don't know. There's no benefit. There's no benefit. It's just dumb as shit. It's under higher pressure. It's a story. They're just selling a stupid story to stupid people with stupid amounts of money.
Okay.
I mean, I'd drink it if I was given it, but I certainly wouldn't fucking pay $500 for something that dumb.
So I need a business plan that is reliant on getting the ultra rich to pay us to do something just useless and asinine.
Well, that's a good segue into our next story about rhesus monkeys. Now,
I hope they're rich.
the monkeys, not so much. But if you can fuck with monkeys, you're probably getting some good money or funding.
Sure.
So they basically found this new therapy, gene therapy, shot directly into your brain that alters your brain and can make you not an alcoholic. Now, to test this, they basically turned some rhesus monkeys into a bunch of drunks.
Yeah,
so for months on end, they just get rhesus monkeys fucking wasted. Just let them self-select as much alcohol as they wanted all the time, just getting blackout monkey drunk.
You know, I would like to hang out at that bar. I would pay to hang out at that bar, actually.
The rhesus monkey bar?
Yeah, you know, we've been to like one of those, we went to one of those cat cafes, you know, where like you get coffee and you can pay to like pet the cats and whatever. I would definitely pay to like go to a dive bar and get drunk with rhesus monkeys.
Belligerent monkeys.
Doing shots and shit.
Well, speaking of shots, so after a while, these monkeys were all addicted to booze and basically wrecked their lives.
Yeah.
They shot fucking stuff into their brain that changed the way that the dopamine's produced in their brain. And so instead of making less, after the gene therapy, their brains made way more dopamine, and then they just stopped drinking. So they were getting enough of a hit naturally just from their brain, I guess is the theory, that they didn't have the need to drink anymore, and the rhesus monkey drinking went to near zero. So you too could potentially one day have a brain that functions normally and you won't need to rely on alcohol anymore.
Although you're not really going to know. I'm guessing the rhesus monkeys weren't particularly good at, let's say, physics prior to this. So you're not really going to know how the other ways that it affects the brain until you try it on people.
One can only hope.
Yeah.
Speaking of trying things on people that ruin their brains, I have 3 new products for you that you're going to love.
Great. My new product is, if you want to get drunk with us and Rhesus monkeys in a dive bar, it only costs $5,000.
Go to our Patreon. The Rhesus monkey level of support is $5,000 a month. We'll be here for you. Okay, so there's 3 new spirits. The first one, KFC, is launching their own official spirit. Can you guess what it is?
Fried chicken place?
Yes, can you guess what it is?
Jesus Christ.
Can you guess what it is?
I would think something like Southern Comfort, like a really sugary, sweet kind of, faux bourbon sort of thing.
That's a great guess.
Yeah.
It's actually 11 herb and spice rum.
Oh, ew.
Way worse. Way worse.
God.
Okay.
Fire that person immediately.
I guess we're talking about it. So they won?
I guess.
The next one, Eggo Waffles Brunch Liqueur. Can you guess what it tastes like?
Oh, ass? I'm guessing like, waffles and syrup, like maple, like really heavy maple.
I'll give you a hint. Its full name is called Eggo Brunch in a Jar Appalachian Sippin' Cream.
Oh
Eggo
my God.
Brunch in a Jar Appalachian Sippin'. Man, I can't even say it.
Brunch, I'm going to guess, there's still some maple flavor to it.
You're right.
But there's going to be something savory in there.
Yep, you nailed it.
What is it like? And our friend Scott LaFollette used to make a beer that was called Worst something, WURST. And by using the spices, it tasted just like sausage.
Yeah, he leaned on fennel and caraway and some other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it was brilliantly done. Kind of disgusting. You don't want to drink too many.
But he used actual fucking ingredients and not just Eggo waffle flavor, maple syrup flavor, rich butter flavor, and smoky bacon flavor.
Oh my God!
And a sipping cream and a Bailey's cream sweet garbage.
Oh God!
So I feel like this is just torture.
I just puked a little bit.
The next thing that I know you're gonna love.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm sold so far on these first 2.
Dunkin Donuts is launching a spiked coffee.
Fuck.
Just everyone in Boston's going to be more drunk, apparently. That's the goal of that.
Does that mean like Dunkin Donuts has to have a... Where? I mean, is this a retail product, or is Dunkin Donuts going to have to get a liquor license?
I don't know. I don't know what's better. They both sound terrible.
They're both a bad idea, sure. But I mean, I do think that when we look at the challenges facing America, the inability to get drunk at 9 o'clock in the morning with a massive amount of processed sugar, that's what we've been lacking as a country. I think.
Well, thank fuck we finally can do it.
Yeah. Problem solved. America.
You may have noticed that Mike has a exquisite mug. Now, what we want from you all is to tell us, this actually is from the pub in Athens, Ohio, where the home of Ohio University. It's called the Fish Bowl. If you're not familiar, well, next time you're in Athens, make sure you go. But what we want from you all, hey, you made it. Cheers. What we want from you all is tell us in the comments below, where have you seen the most outlandish drinking implements? Because we're gonna get them, we're gonna make Mike drink out of them, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. Now on to the question of the week. We have a question of the week. It was from our 2 weeks ago on our YouTube page, so thank you. Let us know if you have any others. What are your go-to 5 desert island beers? Not faux craft.
I mean, I'm gonna have to have one that I drink all day because it's desert island. So I would probably do this Gansett right now, actually, as one of them. Bell's Two Hearted, I think, is still one of the most balanced beers out there.
That's on my list too.
I'm going to need a really nice porter, and I would probably go with Edmund Fitz out of Great Lakes. A really good West Coast IPA, Psychopathy here in Cincinnati. Big fan of those guys. What is that?
That's 3.
That's 3. What else do I need in the...
No, that's 4. One more.
That's 4. I would go really high end, and I would go with that Duchess chocolate cherry Flanders red.
That beer is crazy good.
It is crazy good.
Your list is not that different from mine. I have actually had my list of top 6 beers. I have a...
You've been planning for this?
I have.
Great, yeah.
My retirement dream is to sell the brewery, make enough money where I don't really have to work, open up a pub that's just wood everywhere with no televisions, music if I feel like it,
Nice.
and 6 beers on draft, and then that's it. And if you don't like it, get the fuck out. And then I'll just work whatever hours I want to work. And it's going to be great. It's going to be my Brett's Curmudgeon pub or whatever. It doesn't matter. But I've been keeping a six beer list that I rotate through about once a year or so if I feel like it. But the 6 are Pilsner Urquell, Guinness,
solid.
which Edmund Fitzgerald probably should take the place of Guinness, Triple Carmelite, Old Speckled Hen, The Gadget, obviously, and Two Hearted is the IPA.
Great.
But our lists are pretty close.
Yeah.
So, yeah, mad respect. Continuing on, we are almost done. We are on to the non-alc story of the week. Mike, American credit card debt.
I'm for it.
So are all Americans, because we're at an all-time high. We have passed $1 trillion in a credit card debt. How does that make you feel about our future success?
I think that when you combine that with steadily decreasing wages and all the jobs that AI is going to take, with the fact that the entire stock market is being propped up by 5 companies being extraordinarily artificially overvalued, I don't see what could possibly go wrong.
Well, here's to the future. The second story of the week. Last week, every day in a row was the hottest day ever.
Great!
As a globe. But in Cincinnati, it's been great.
It's been beautiful. We won the climate change lottery. I mean, if climate change were real.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, no, shit.
Not when
Conspiracy. Clearly, Al Gore made it up so that he could sell like a movie. And his
a bad movie too.
His motivation, it didn't have very many action scenes.
No.
There was not a single car chase.
That sex scene with him and Rob Reiner was really weird too.
Really, really
Just
weird.
Didn't fit at all.
Really weird. Yeah, no, I trust the oil companies because they don't have any motivation to lie. Yeah, no, the climate. Yeah, we're killing our habitat. Absolutely.
Well, speaking of good things, we wanted to say cheers and thank you to our first 2 Patreon supporters, Gnarly Gnome and Julia. You know who you guys are. Thank you. It's greatly appreciated.
Everybody else, patronize the shit out of us, please.
Yes.
I'm not sure that's actually the verb, but
I don't know what it is.
you can actually patronize us and give us money on Patreon.
The link's down below. The
Or just
comment
the second
section's
one.
down below. Check us out. Go to Brew Skies. Check out all our stuff. Blah, blah, blah. You know the drill. We'll see you next week.
Love you guys.